Hey tankers, and welcome back to World of Tanks with PR154, where we're dropping into the Tier 9 British self-propelled gun FV3805. It's been a little while since we've had an artillery piece on the channel, but this is a vehicle that I drag out with a reasonable degree of frequency, and it is my go-to vehicle for completing stubborn daily missions like cause damage to 7 different enemy vehicles in a battle. There's just something about artillery that enables you to sort of be a little bit more selective about who it is that you reach out and touch. In the case of this vehicle as well, it has a reasonably precise gun and a decent rate of fire. You have a choice of 2 different guns, which actually the smaller 6-inch gun I'd normally equipped for battles with this sort of intent, but in this case I do have the larger 7.2-inch gun, and you can sort of see the difference in some of the figures. Granted, they're near identical in terms of damage per minute. It's just the 7.2-inch gun does hit a little bit harder at 850 hit points, stuns longer, but reloads in a lot more time, 35 seconds as opposed to 27 seconds for the 6-inch gun, which the 6-inch gun is going to be perfectly adequate if you just wanted to jump in this vehicle and hit as many different targets as you can per your mission conditions. Also worth noting, the 6-inch gun is a little bit more accurate and aims slightly faster as well, so it does have that going for it. So that initial strike on Jagdpanzer E100 had upticked a couple of mission conditions, which let's get to what we're here to do today. Alliance 3, cloudy with a chance of shells, our primary mission condition being to stun an enemy vehicle 10 times, and for completion with honours we need to cause damage 6 times to enemy vehicles by shooting them. Now there isn't a stun duration requirement or a damage requirement here, so you can technically complete this with any British or American artillery piece from tier 7 or up, but unlike the damage 7 enemy vehicles in a battle mission, there's no getting around the class. You have to use an SPG. So the map is Malinovka, and one of the distinct features of this map is the hill that becomes the point of initial contact between the hull-down fighters, so it's important for us to focus them first. STB-1 was the first target of opportunity. We had pre-aimed, and we are rewarded with 317 hits on that quite well turreted Japanese medium tank. They're joined by an Object 430U, who is going to be quite a tough customer up here. We do have the advantage, however, of a T95 FV4201 Chieftain, operated by a Drunk Monkey, who's actually kind enough to submit their replay that allows us to capture a few extra angles on this map today. Now, unfortunately, by this point, he'd eaten 2 rounds from the STB-1 on the way up the hill, so we kind of need to prioritise this hull-down fighter. We send out 3rd shell of the game in its general direction, but unfortunately only managed a stunning shot that time. But still, another addition to our mission objective tally. Drunk Monkey reaches the top of the hill, and they're joined by a T57 Heavy that's pushed in. Now, they're trying to get in behind the windmill to try to oppose that Object 430U. Although the Object 430U is probably going to be quite capable at side scraping off that hard edge all day. And Drunk Monkey and the T57 end up being quite exposed if they try to push around to engage 430U. We can see the enemy team has now got more assets heading up the hill, but it's the STB-1 that we're going to continue to focus on in the short term. Landing a nice 406 hit points to one of the enemy's vanguard, but the real meat of the force is now pushing up. We've got T30 having shut down the IS-3.2 and Batchat 25 TAP revealing itself in the A0 position that could have been causing all sorts of chaos for the friendly team. But once spotted, it is now making its escape, although it does manage to lose a couple of hit points along the way. And amidst the chaos, we've now been reloading. We are lining up on T30 and we send the shell its way. Hoping for a bit of effect on target here, a little bit of vengeance for our fallen IS-3.2, and managed to knock off 222 hit points of it. We've also damaged our 4th enemy vehicle for the game, as well as stunned our 5th enemy vehicle for the game. So we're more than halfway there on our honours completion and halfway there on our primary. Pondering between targets now, we're hovering over STB-1. We've also got the T30 not too far away. We also have the Kranwagen here that's playing off the rock on the lower sort of shelf here, but it's gone dark, and so we return to T30, hoping that we can make it just that little bit more one-shottable, and with effect on target for a nice 306 hit point windfall against T30, definitely putting it into one-shottable range. But we're not short of our own one-shottable tanks here. E75 knocking out T57 Heavy with a single blow, with scores now 0 for 2 in the enemy's favour. So the enemy are now really starting to exert their advantage over our team on the hill. They've managed to seize the top. They've got all the hull down tanks in the right position. We've got this Kranwagen that's still on the lower step, so we can hit it now and land for 254 hit points. Hopefully that'll make it think twice. But Object 430U decides to push forward. They knock out E75. They're now playing off the dead Alliance-3.2, so's the Object 277. It cops a hit from E75. Object 430U pushes around on the reload and knocks out Object 277 as well. That is just erased our team's presence on the hill. We've had our T95 FV3805 having eaten a few bags of shit there, so they've pulled back. It is really only the T95 that's moved forward. We've dropped a shell in behind Object 430U to try to get some sort of stun damage, some sort of group damage, and on that we've actually satisfied our honours condition of having damaged 6 different enemy vehicles, and we've also nearly nailed the primary, having stunned 9 enemy vehicles. But I'm sure the 10th will not be far away at this point in time, because we now have 5 enemy vehicles pushing very confidently off the top of the hill here on Malinovka. It's just the T95 here that's presenting resistance, and the enemy E75 has gone straight for it. We managed to drop a shell here into a group of 3 as T95 nails the enemy E75, but T110E5 shuts it down on the way through. But as it's pushing off, we do have a bit of a crossfire developing here. We've got Shaft Future 4 in a clump of trees. We've got T95 at the back, and they're blasting away, but Shaft Future 4 has been spotted. It's taking all sorts of abuse. Centurion Action 10 is pushing through. It's lining up on T30, manages to shoot through the eye of the needle between the church there. In the meantime, our forward scout T54 Lightweight in a world of hurt here. The enemy Batchat 25 TAP rounding on it, knocking it out, but they do have a Jagdtiger in Overwatch that manages to bring the Tier 9 French medium tank low. As for us, we've completed both our primary and honours conditions for Alliance 3.2 for the Chimera, so regardless of how this battle goes, we're not going to be terribly invested, but we're going to still destroy and damage as much as we can along the way, lining up on E75 and sending it back to the garage for our first kill of the game. And I guess we see at this point just how grueling that push off the hill on Malinovka can be, even after you've had a distinct numerical advantage. T110E5 has been copping an absolute hailstorm of fire here from T95 FV3805 Chieftain. They're backed up by Object 430U, but now that they've been spotted, the Chieftain also lines up and sends it back to the garage. Centurion Action 10, however, starting to get spotted from behind by T49, and it's knocked out by the Jaegeru E100. The enemy team is now maintaining its 2-gun advantage over our team, and in doing so, having taken the hill, having our team not contested the field in the south, that really is starting to squeeze us down tighter and tighter and tighter into the northwest corner of the map. That really restricts our ability to maintain an effective distance between our spotters and the guns that can try to cause damage along the way. But we'll still try to zero in on whatever target is going. At this stage, it appears to be the Jagdpanzer E100. Now, we'll need to get this shot off pretty quickly so we can deal with what's coming next. We release our shell, but unfortunately, we do go a little bit long, only causing stunning to the Tier 10 enemy tank destroyer. So we're in a bit of an awkward position here in the northwest. We've got everyone trying to bunch up, including some of our medium tanks that still have a bit of a hit point pool available to them. T95, while it has amazing turret armor, unfortunately there's not much left to it. We can see our Jagdtiger is starting to get in a bit of trouble. It's eating a few rounds from enemies unknown, but it's ultimately the Jagdpanzer E100 that ends up sending it back to the garage. The rest of us are kind of stuck in this rather awkward position where we are bunched up in the back corner and there's no depth to our defense. Now, what do we mean by that? Ideally, you want to have eyeballs that are sitting at least a couple of grid squares ahead of the tanks that are causing the damage. They're the ones that really need to maintain distance from the enemy because, of course, as soon as they start to fire, well, they're going to get spotted. So you really want your damage dealers to be able to remain hidden for as long as possible. But if everyone decides that they're a damage dealer, that's a real problem because they're potentially all going to be spotted at the same time. In the meantime, we've got situations like this where I'm just, as the SPG, just looking for targets. And quite frankly, if I can't see it, I can't bloody well shoot it. So we're kind of expecting in a situation we are going to be a one-shot wonder. So to that end, we are loading the alternative high explosive shell. We are expecting this to be a fight at much closer range, so the trajectory is going to be a lot less important, and we do want to make sure that that hit does cause as much damage as possible. Now, a lot of people really like to use the armor-piercing shell in this kind of application, and who can blame them? Out of the 7.2-inch gun, that will penetrate for over 300 millimeters, more than adequate in this situation. And it will damage for 560 hit points on a penetration. The alternative high explosive, however, it will penetrate 58 millimeters and will do up to 1,000 hit points of damage. So we were kind of hedging that a thinner skinned vehicle would be the one making the run. As it turned out, it was the Jagdpanzer E100. We know we had a direct hit on it owing to the lack of explosion. Not quite sure what we did to it, but the T49 has certainly been knocked out by the Chieftain. Chieftain's been knocked out by STB1 in turn, and Char Future 4 has been spotted as well. And just everything is just now falling to chaos and ruin as the front line and the back line are one. Everything that's firing is getting spotted. Char Future 4 has had an artillery shell land near it. It's only got 126 hit points left. Really very little left in the tank now. One enemy vehicle pushing through is going to end up lighting the whole team, and as it turns out, it's Char Future 4, probably with a full magazine loaded, and we managed to slam our shell into it, but its gun is locked onto it. We get knocked out by Char Future 4. Char Future 4 is knocked out by 121B. Conway knocks out Char Future 4, and as T110E5 and STB1 round on 121B, it is ultimately STB1 that lands the final kill. And a bit of a defeat for us, unfortunately, but we did get our personal campaign mission completion, so onwards and upwards, and let's head to the next one. Let's check out the results. A resounding defeat there, ladies and gentlemen. No mastery badges at all to speak of. In fact, the only medal we've come away with here was the Bruiser medal for causing damage to enemy vehicle crews or modules at least 5 times in the course of the battle, which can be somewhat expected when we're flinging that much high explosive, or rather SPG high explosive, downrange. We did manage to rack up a little over 3,000 hit points of damage on the enemy team, however, and claim a kill. Having a look to the team scores, on our team it was Drunken Monkey in the T95 FV3805 Chieftain that claimed top honours, 3 kills on the enemy, over 4,500 hit points of damage inflicted on the enemy team as well. Never Knows Best in E75 also placing quite well from top tiered, and we came in 3rd. On the enemy team, Goober the Happy Vissler in the STB1 claiming a top honours there, 3 kills and over 6,000 hit points of damage. Despite our best efforts to gun them down in the early game, they really prevailed here. Object 430U having claimed 2 kills and over 3,600 hit points of damage as well, operated by TJX Berryman of the Wampak clan. A brace of E75s of the S7 clan, operated by Skippy the Wonder Dog and Devastator 308, also performing quite well. Special mention to Bunsey of the Big Daddy clan in the T30, having claimed over 2,100 hit points worth of damage and a kill on our team. A well-deserved result for the opposition. Looking to the detailed report, this was actually mildly profitable for us thanks to a personal missions payout. I believe that might have been partially the honours condition completion, as well as the fact that I probably would have leapt into that tank to complete a daily mission for hitting a number of enemy vehicles in a single battle. So FV3805 performing as intended, certainly in that function, and the Chimera personal campaign mission being quite a pleasant surprise to add. So that's it from me, folks. Hope you've enjoyed this one. I realise that SPG replays, they tend not to rate as well on YouTube. I do hope that our shell cam approach has made this a little bit more interesting, coupled with the fact that we tend to commentate the events of the battle and not just the subject. Really keen to hear what you think in the comments below. There was a lot of stuff happening. We have had to overlay a number of events. Really keen to hear your feedback on, are we getting it right with the overlays, or should I try to just step things out a little bit more? In the meantime, our Saturday SitRep Twitch live reviews of replays are still going ahead of pace. Even though we're slowed down on YouTube, we're reviewing 3 replays a week live on our Twitch channel. So do check that out at the link below, and swing by our Discord where you can submit your replays for consideration. I'm hoping that come early December, I'll be through my backlog of YouTube content and I can start picking the best of those replays to then feature on the channel as well. So exciting times ahead. In the meantime, happy tanking and take care out there.